Darren, obviously what you needed last week, that win, how much has that given you a boost to come into this game at the weekend on the back of a win now?
Listen, I'll take away the win and look at the performance. I thought the performance was really, really great. We played so well, dominated, and someone told me we had 27 shots. I mean, it's pretty. It was pretty conclusive in terms of the performance levels, and I know we left it late, but I thought again showed good play, a lot more similar properties and values to what my team has come to be known for, and I was really pleased. And the other thing, I was absolutely delighted for Gabby, really delighted. I've got a long background in development, and it's still such a great moment for everyone really at the club when a graduate scores the winning goal in the last minute of an FA Cup tie. It's a great story.
Yeah, how can that inspire him, if you like? I guess that can only help him, can't it, moving forward? It can help bring the best out of him.
Well, what he's doing is, he's played 1,000% more games and game time this year than he did in the entirety of last season, and hopefully with Gabby will be conscious and recognise the things that he needs to do in order to be in the team or in the squad, and if those great moments go to support the work he has to go through in order to be involved, and hopefully that will encourage him that he's going down the right path, and he's doing the right things, because he's done well for us this year. He's done well. It was a little unfortunate to be brought back out of the team, really, but the shape change kind of saw to that. But I was delighted for him, and he gets some stick because, but when after the game when I saw him and I was shaking everyone's hand or fist pumping everyone or whatever we do now, elbow jab each other, his little face, bless him. It's a nice moment. It's a lovely, still the best thing about football, seeing a young player, realise his dreams or start to realise his potential. It's a lovely sort of heartfelt moment, I must say.
Yeah, obviously it was in the FA Cup. Is there a part of you that would swap that win in the FA Cup for 3 points on Saturday?
No, I'd never swap wins. I like winning. I want to win them all. So it's, I think if we don't understand off the back of Saturday's performance the things that we have to do in order to win, then I've got a different group of people than maybe I first thought. But some good performances. Lawson Diath I thought was absolutely brilliant in midfield, and there was signs of players coming back into what we kind of expected of them. Reece Murphy, really bright, motivated, enthusiastic. Joe Quigley the same, and some of the efforts and attempts they got off onto goal they'll quickly turn into goals if they can carry on doing all the other contributing factors around that. But I was really pleased. I think it was the quietest Adam Smith's been all season. Alex Bradley had a very good debut. Morgan Williams backed up a fine debut with another good performance. So I'm pleased on a Thursday. I've not been too pleased on Thursdays so far, but I sit on Thursday and I can see real promise coming out of the group again, and it was very enjoyable to watch. I really enjoyed watching them. Even if they did leave it a little bit late, I did enjoy watching them play Saturday.
Yeah, obviously now you're turning your attention back to the National League. I know some managers don't like to pay attention to tables and so on. When do you start paying attention to the league table?
We're second bottom, aren't we?
Bottom.
Can we bottom? That's all I need to know. We're bottom of the table. But is anything good enough at Yeovil unless it's top? Would 14th be considered good enough? Probably not. 8th? Probably not. So I think unless we're in the top part, I think everyone will say we're underachieving. But league table's the league table. The only way you can change it is by winning games and climbing it. But listen, like I said, there's plenty of time. If we're bottom in January, then you might see a slightly older, fatter version of me. But it won't. I won't be. I'm not too concerned just yet.
No, I think I've asked you this question before about.
Don't ask
do you
it.
think it's on the players? if you think it's on the if it's on the players' minds when the first league win, you're continuing to try and get that. Of course, that's the objective. But do you think it does? The longer it goes on, it does become a factor.
No, but we don't really differentiate between games and what competition we're playing in. I think that's a bit of an outside myth, really. But one of the things I said after the game Saturday, and probably the aspect of our play that I was most pleased with, was first half players played with such enthusiasm and confidence and belief, played some good football, played very expressively, played very open, aggressive in our defending. If there was any worries or concerns from the players and the management team, they don't play like that. They don't play like that. They play very within themselves, very anxious, almost paranoid, cautious, all those types of emotions that normally come with habitual losing. But it's we wouldn't differentiate like that. It's not the FA Cup. We play with belief, and the league we play with caution, paranoia, and anxiety. It's just a game of football. And what we've found is, we're going to have to be at our very, very best in order to win any game in our division, and we're going to have to be at our very best to win any game in any cup competition. And anything other than that means we're going to lose. So it's just up to us to hit very, very high standards in our performance, and and keep going.
Yeah, what sort of a game are you expecting at Woking at the weekend?
They're very they're a tough team to play against. They've always been quite tough, and they do things their way. So it's very hard. I think without fans, it is really hard to kind of predict. Really hard. We've had a decent start away from home. We've not been beaten away from home, and we've played. We've probably played better away from Hewish Park than we have at Hewish Park. So all those things, all those strange anomalies that are coming with this world we're now living in is all new, and it'll be a tough game. They're all tough games. It's every one of them. Like I said, if our performance levels aren't really at their best, at their highest, then we won't win.
What can you read about their recent form? They lost their last two in the league. They lost a 2-goal lead in the FA Cup. Does that give you reason for confidence?
No, we're bottom of the league. You said it yourself. You look at the league table, and the league table supposedly never lies. We're bottom. They're probably, I don't know, mid-table. I can't say I've looked.
Ninth.
They're ninth. They're better than Yeovil, aren't they? So they won't lack confidence.
Absolutely. I mean, they're 1 point off the playoffs as well. Things can change pretty quickly in this league, can't they?
Yeah. Absolutely. One win, it all changes, isn't it?
How are the squad looking for the weekend, Darren?
We had quite a wounded bunch. Not just last week, but obviously after 120 minutes. Alex Bradley hadn't played for a long time. Morgan Williams hasn't trained this week. Lee Collins still hasn't trained this week so far. Might train before Saturday. Charlie for once has been okay, so that's an easy one. Courtney's still not training. So we might be minus Williams, we might be minus Bradley. Worthington's recovered after the weekend. He didn't quite make it Saturday, but he's recovered. And yeah, apart from that, I think it'll probably maybe one or two shy from the starting lineup last week, but no more than that.
Good luck at Woking, Darren. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Darren, you talk about your league form. it's interesting to know that all the defeats have been at Hewish Park. Do you think that the lack of supporters is one of the reasons that it's you're struggling to get going at Hewish Park, whereas away from home it's sort of not quite so important, it doesn't seem?
Well, I think what we have missed is when you play at Hewish, as everyone knows, what the crowd do for you is they help you build momentum, they help you build periods of play. I've said it so many times, since I joined the club, there's always an expectation at Hewish Park that definitely raises my game. I even felt that when I used to come here as manager of Stevenage. I used to think, oh, you can feel that kind of atmosphere, that edgy atmosphere in the stand. We're going to have to be good today. And I always felt that even as manager. And there's always an expectation to play the game properly. There's always an expectation to win. Like we've alluded to, we've been booed off so many times, even in my short time, for being, drawing games 0-0 and things like that. So there's always a level of expectancy. And the big thing is, especially I remember second half last year, we'd be building our play, and the Thatcher's end would get up and they'd get going. You have a good shot, it goes out for a corner, they get up, everyone's now encouraging, and you put the corner in, you go close, you get another corner, it builds and the noise builds and the suspense builds, and it definitely does support you. And when you make that really long, arduous 80-metre recovery back and you put that tackle in right at the last second and you get that applause from everyone, that makes you want to do it again. So the game has been completely different. I think we've seen that. In a lot of the teams that were especially in the playoffs last year. There has been that kind of transition with those teams. But, it's not going to be any different now until minimum January. I mean, touch wood, I hope that come January we can welcome everyone back. But I certainly miss that wave of noise that builds and builds just before you score. It's nice to be involved in that.
I suppose conversely, it helps the opposition if they haven't got that wave building up against them, sort of thing, and possibly we've seen that because they've won and we haven't.
Yeah, you got all those things, but I mean, the reason we haven't won at Hewish is down to our poor mistakes defensively. I mean, we've been awful defensively at home so far. But again, you take the most recent evidence, and I know there's a 1-0 defeat in that, but we've conceded 1 goal in 2 games, conceded 1 goal in 210 minutes of football. We feel like we're starting to get there, but whenever we've got there so far, or we feel like we've got there so far, or turned a corner in the first 7 league games, an injury or something like that has meant we had to change system and do things a little bit differently. So if we can keep everyone fit going into the weekend and maybe only lose 1 rather than 2 to injury or knocks and things, we hope we can kind of build on our recent performances, especially defensively.
Do you feel the pressure personally though, Darren?
Only because I want to win, and I'd consider myself a winner. I don't feel the pressure there's no pressure. No, Scott doesn't put me under pressure. Scott and I are a partnership, and he certainly didn't give me more money for winning 7 games in a row, so why would he go the complete extreme the other way for not winning for 7? So it's a partnership, and we work together through the good and we work together through the bad. We're in the second round of the FA Cup, which we never did last year. That's pretty good. So we'll take the nice moments when they come.
Well, why not? Woking away, then Weymouth away, two difficult games. But if you can turn it around with these 2, I mean, what better place to do it than Weymouth? Because you're obviously aware of the sort of rivalry between Yeovil and Weymouth fans, that's for sure. So it'd be a great way to turn the form around and go there and win. Well,
they're massive games. The derbies were massive games, and I think we'd only probably consider Torquay as the derby last year, but we had two wonderful experiences during those 2 games, and really set a marker. And we know how important they are for the fans, and we know how important every game is. We know how important because it is like that at Yeovil. When you work at Yeovil, the expectancy in the National League is that you win games, and again, because we had such a great season last year, it almost becomes the norm again. But you get periods where it's not the norm, and like I've said before, we're going to have this period again in February, March, or January, or we might have a good November, bad December. It's what happens. It's where you are right at the very, very end, not where you are right at the very, very start.
Oh, and I think your comment about what's good enough for Yeovil, is very relevant. Really, everybody wants success, but certainly Yeovil fans are very, I would say, very impatient. They don't sort of give you much latitude, do they, to have the odd little blip now and then.
Listen, it's the world, and especially because people are being kept away from their football clubs, they're being kept away from their social circles. There's nowhere. You watch it on the telly, but you don't get a feel for it on the telly. You don't get a feel for it behind the screen. You only get a feel for football and performances when it's live. That's the beauty of it. You feel the emotion of the players, you feel the commitment, you feel the attitude, you feel the style of play. When you're watching it on telly, you don't feel it as much, So it's it's just natural. It's just absolutely normal. Got no qualms about it whatsoever. Again, they've been very good to me. The supporters, excellent in my time here. I feel like I've been pretty good for them and the football club. And again, take rough with the smooth. I ain't going to lose an arm or a kidney through it. So.
You mentioned Gabby Rogers, and everybody was pleased for his goal, I'm sure. Have you got any other youngsters that are pushing to get into the side from the academy side?
Yeah, we're just about to announce one of the young ones that we've signed on a professional contract. I might as well give it to you now, but we'll be announcing tomorrow that we've signed Toby Stevens, who is a 17-year-old first year. He'd be a first-year apprentice, but with the categorisation changing, the fact that we're having a second year in the National League, we were unable to bring in a first-year cohort of apprentices. So we've thought that Toby was an outstanding individual last year in his under-16 year. He played for the 18s a hell of a lot. I was very, very impressed with him. So we've contracted him to the football club for the next 2 and a bit years, and I've got great hope for him. He's a good lad, nice lad, very, very humble. He's a good footballer. He's local. He's a local boy, I've got massive hope for him to push himself through. It's been a tough. He's been injured recently, which is why we've held it back. But he's kind of returning to fitness now, and he'll spend at least 1 or 2 days a week with the first team squad, so that we can review his performances and his development, as we need to as time goes on. So he's an exciting one. Alfie Lloyd's been a very good player for the youth team so far, and we've had 2 or 3 every day kind of jump up with us because we've had such small numbers. So, Toby's one that I was very keen to do when the academy shut, because we thought the market, and not only the market externally away from Yeovil, but our opinions internally of Terry and I were that he was an individual that had significant potential. Whether he realised it or not is, no one's got a crystal ball, but he did show some very, very good attributes last year that make me quite enthused to work with him over the next couple of years and see if he can make that next step into the first team.
Are all the new players settling in well now? They've been here a few weeks now, I suppose. Are they all settling in well?
Yeah, I mean Morgan knew the group, quite well. Alex Bradley is a lovely chap, and has just slipped in very, very harmoniously. Is that a word?
I think so.
Right, okay. So he slipped in nicely. He settled. No, I don't know why I tried to overcook that one, but no, he settled fine. Everyone can see his qualities from the outset, and I was very, very enthused by his performance last week, and we look forward to having him, until January. But those two, I think they're the only 2 new ones, aren't they? And so they've been fine, absolutely fine.
And just to finish up on the FA Cup, you mentioned Stockport in the early days. You were spending a lot of money and improving their side. Probably not the best of draws to get, but on the other hand, you're only one match away from a potential game against the Premier League side.
Yeah, as we've alluded to today, I hate to keep harping on. I've not taken this personally, I promise you, but we're bottom of the conference, aren't we? So, any team that we draw is going to be probably above us, unless it was one of those lovely romantic underdog stories that seem to happen every year. And it's a decent draw. And like the Stockport CEO said live on telly, we'll be looking to go there and cause an upset and a shock. Madness.
Well, good luck anyway, and obviously good luck for the weekend.
Cheers, AD. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
How you doing, Darren? You okay?
I'm good. You?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. I think all my questions have been taken, but looking at Gabby Rogers, you mentioned earlier how hard recruitment's been this year. His performance has almost been like a new signing for you this season.
Well, we always knew what Gabby was capable of. It was whether Gabby was willing to professionalise his mindset. And let me explain that, because I don't want people thinking that Gabby goes off on, like clubbing ventures and raves and things on a Friday night, because he certainly doesn't do that. He doesn't look old enough anyway. So Gabby just had to go through a process of maturation. He had to go through a process of developing resilience, developing, a physical performance, developing his knowledge base of the game and how it works and how games swing and things like that. So, and he's still developing all those things. But what's been really great about Gabby is his attitude to fighting for a spot. And then when he got a opportunity, 15 minutes from time, I thought he played, I can't remember the game, but I thought he played, it might have been Wrexham, something like that. But he played very well. He had an effect, and then he came on for half an hour. I thought he had an even bigger effect, and then come on at half time at Halifax, and then I started him at Dagenham the following week, and he hasn't played poorly. He didn't come out the side because he played poorly. He came out the side for tactical reasons, for a tactical shift. But he's been incredible, and I'm enjoying this version of Gabby. This mature version of Gabby is a breath of fresh air, and you're right, it is like a new player. But people don't give credit where credit's due on that. The senior players have been magnificent with him, and you talk about development and education. His development has come purely through working with people like Terry, but also his kind of the way Carl Dickinson, Charlie Lee, Lee Collins, they rub off on him. All their experience, all of their worldly experience, all of their years they've had and the stage of their life they're at now, it all rubs off. When you have a team full of young men, no experience, no hardness, no resilience, no robustness, no determination, that those things haven't really gone through in life yet, in the main. So it's the senior players deserve an awful amount of credit for Gabby's new outlook on his profession, definitely.
And then just finally, you've touched on it already with the Weymouth game. Will the lack of fans kind of lessen the derby feel?
Not for me. I've got, we all know I've got Terry next to me, and Terry shares, the rivalry of our, our neighbours. So, we know how important it is to put in a performance. But listen, I think that game's secondary to the next one, which is Woking. So, we'll concentrate on trying to put a performance in the win at Weymouth once we've jumped the hurdle at Woking.
Lovely. That's all for me. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks, lads.